Hello, everyone. Good morning to all of you. I'm Vishal Dhar, representing Novel Vista today, and will be today's moderator for this webinar session on data science. We have some more attendees adding up in this webinar, so we'll be waiting for next couple of minutes, and then we'll quickly start. Hello, everyone. Once again, I welcome all of you on the behalf of Novel Vista. I'm Vishal Dhar, as I already said, and I'll be today's host for this amazing webinar on data science. In If any one of you is not able to hear me clearly, please use the chat option to let us know. Let me give you a quick brief about Novel Vista. Novel Vista is an accredited training organization and is an 8-year-old company. We provide trainings and certifications and have already trained more than 30,000 participants across various practices, processes, and technologies. Being one of the largest training organizations with a huge portfolio of more than 2,000 courses and a team of 300 plus trainers, we have always believed in knowledge sharing. One of such knowledge sharing initiatives is webinars, wherein we introduce our participants to industry experts like Anjali Mogre. Our today's speaker, Anjali Mogre, I'll just give you some brief about Anjali. Anjali has 2 decades of experience in software industry and is currently working with Ethos as a principal consultant for data science and analytics. She is currently managing multiple data science projects to see patterns in the data, to take business decisions and get a glimpse of future trends. Anjali holds a master's degree in statistics and multiple certifications in software, project management, and a master diploma in professional training. With so many educational achievements, she is fascinated about data science, data analytics, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and emotional intelligence. She has been conducting multiple training programs for corporates and students on data analytics. And on top of it, Anjali is an excellent storyteller and a bidirectional communicator, which makes her training programs really interactive, interesting, and adds a lot of value to the participants. So, saying that, I will be starting off this webinar. Before that, I would like to run a poll for each one of you. I would request each one of you to take part in this poll so that we know our today's audience better. I request all of you to put in your inputs for this poll. All right, guys, thanks a lot. I'll be closing this poll now. There's one another poll which I want you to take part in. Again, I'll request all of you to put in your inputs for this question. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll be closing this. And on this note, I'll be handing over this session to Anjali. Uh, Hi, Anjali, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. I'm making you presenter, and I request you to take this session ahead from here.
Thank you, Vishal.
Thanks, Anjali.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen, and
Okay.
your voice is audible as well. I would once again request to all of you participants, in case you are finding any difficulty regarding volume or anything regarding webinar, please feel free to use your chat option to inform us. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining this session. After we are overwhelmed with the response that we have for this session. Obviously, it's because of the data science and the curiosity that the data science is raising in everybody's mind. We are seeing the most of people are kind of new to the data science, so that I would keep my session as very, very interactive, and so that you understand a little bit about the data science and have enough curiosity so that you can learn more about it further. So just a brief, my introduction is already done by Vishal. So I'm Anjali, working at Atos and looking after a few data science projects that we are currently working on. So with the experience of these data science projects, I have built in some different insights into what is the data science. So this seminar, I'm going to give you a brief overview of what science means. You already know data. Everybody knows data. With COVID-19, all of us are seeing data, graph, visualization, and listening to a lot of terms, and everybody understands that data. Even your grandmother would be understanding the data, like how many COVID patients has increased, and she might have some recommendations also. So here everybody is understanding the data. So what is the new about the data science? So that's what I'm going to explain to you about. So first, going to data science, it's let's go from data science to cooking. MasterChef Australia. You know about MasterChef Australia. Most of you must have seen the program. Am I right? You can start giving your answers in chat so that we can interact more. So what does this MasterChef Australia has to do with the data science? So all of you have seen the program. All of you know what is it about. So let's see how it correlates with the data science. So obviously in the MasterChef program, you have a big kitchen, the store, where you have all possible ingredients that might be required, correct? And then, so everything that whatever you want to make, there are all the raw material is available here. Then there are so many kitchen processes, tools, mixer, grinders, ovens, etc. So these are the tools where you are going to put your raw ingredients and process it. At the same time, you have some time constraint because in 90 minutes, you have to prepare that dish using all the raw ingredients and the tools that you have with a time constraint, and you have to prepare a dish which would delight the customer. So in the data science terminology, how I will correlate with this. So all the raw material is all your data. The data is coming in the large volumes right now. There are so many data sources. As you use your Twitter, as you use your Facebook, as you click anything in on your mobile, the data is getting generated and somebody is using that data for some purpose. So therefore, a huge terabytes and terabytes of data we all of us are generating. Then there is a variety there, and it is generating. So volume is very high. The velocity at which coming, like every minute, every second, every day, the data is coming. Okay, I'm so the velocity at which the data is coming is quite high. It's not that it's not coming very slowly. It's coming like a tide to us, to the servers. It would come. There's a lot of variety of the data. So it could be text data, numbers data, it could be your opinions, it could be qualitative data, it could be quantitative data, it could be your audio data, video data, structured data, unstructured data. So the comments, the Twitter comments, the Facebook post that you have, that you are putting, and as well as veracity. That is what it's not sometimes true data, it's uncertain, and there is a lot of ambiguity in the data. That's what is the veracity of the data. So these four V's actually constitute what we call it as a big data right now. So anything that is coming with high volume, variety, velocity, and veracity, that is called big data. So you have a lot of data available, and as to make any dish in the master chef, you need to know a lot of processes and tools. You cannot make those dishes, those fancy looking dishes without using any tools. So then you need a lot of tools. Similarly, for data that is coming to you from various things, data is binary data, it's zeros and ones ultimately for the computer. So just imagine what is the volume of the data, and a data scientist is kind of grasping all that data, and obviously it is not possible to process that data unless you have some tools. So there are some tools. If you know about like AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google, Google Cloud, Tableau, R, Python. So these are all the processing tools and various technologies that are required to process the data. So after you process the data, obviously all the time you will have time constraints. So when you start working in a project, you have to deliver the output as per certain time constraint, obviously, and the quality. And ultimately you would have to be you will be delivering to the customer about what is their data insights, what are the dashboards, what are the predictive models that you are saying, and machine learning that you models that you are going to prepare. So obviously here, so you have large volume of the data, lot of tools, and a time constraint, and you have to deliver your output. So that's the data scientist or data engineer's job, is to take that data, to grasp the data, to process the data, and within the time constraint, deliver the data which the customer would like. So as you know, the dish of the master chef, it has to look good, it has to feel good, it has to taste good, and it has to be liked by the end user. Similarly, the output of your data science project, it can be a dashboard, it can be a predictive model, it could be a machine learning model. So all of them has to look good, feel good, it should be liked by good, it should be scalable, it should be usable again and again. So with this, it's a good analogy so that you understand the concept of data science. So we are talking about data science, data analytics, and big data. So these are the terminology that you are typically hearing about. So what is data science? It is an interdisciplinary field about scientific methods, processes, which would extract the knowledge and insights from the data. The data would be structured and unstructured. If you have learned in your college about the SQL queries and SQL tables, that's all structured data. It's kind of classified into the tables and fields, and each field has either numeric, alphanumeric, and all that stuff. So that you would have learned your college. So here the data science is about not only about structured data, it's becoming unstructured data. That would be your textual data, your audio data, your video data, and you have to expect it to process all this so that you can bring insight from that data, so that the senior management or the person who is interested in taking action would be able to take the correct action based on your outputs. So analytics is use of data, tools, techniques. So here we are dealing with the large data. So obviously statistics would be the only ray of hope, because there are already models and distributions. You must have taken a course in statistics. So that is a foundation of all this machine learning and artificial intelligence. So the statistical techniques, like the way I have learned about a couple of decades back, those are not changed, so fortunately. So those are remains the same, but here what has happened is the tools, techniques, and the processes by which I'm able to process the data has really tremendously increased. So therefore all these things has becoming more interesting and more relevant in today's life. And all those things are coming with a big data way, like the data volume is increasing, therefore whatever you do on that data, the reliability of the outcome, the predictability of that outcome is increasing. So in the big data, we have discussed about 4 V's of big data. So volume, variety, velocity, and veracity. So if you look at any big data course, you would first find your these 4 V's of the big data. Is it clear? Any chat? Am I going fast, or speed is okay?
No, I think Anjali, we are going perfectly fine.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So now we have understood a little bit about big data. We have prepared an analogy on the MasterChef, how it is, how we can correlate with it. And we have understood a little bit about data science. So it's about statistics, mathematics, and the data processing. So whatever you are learning in your college level or school level, all that thing is required over here. So once we have understood this, just a big teaser for you. So I have said that it's a big data, structured and unstructured, so that we can make a decision. So do you think in Indian mythology, which god or story you think that we be using big data? Do you remember Indian mythology, all our gods and goddesses, and the stories that you have learned in your childhood? Do you think which god would have used the big data, structured and unstructured? Any answer?
Well, we have got one answer from Sugandha Das. She has mentioned Ganesha.
Ganesha, okay. Any more answer?
There's another one, Vishnu, Brahma, Chitragupt.
Yeah, Chitragupt. So here is your teaser. So Chitragupt is the correct answer. So Chitragupt, what is like, if you remember the story of Chitragupt, Chitragupt, like he is sitting on the door of hell or heaven, and when you go there, when you finish your journey of your life, He is supposed to be doing all, looking after all your papa and punyas and karmas that you have done. So he's trying to analyze all the data of all entire your lifetime, whatever the structured data, maybe the bank balances and the good things that you have donated, or maybe the karmas that you are doing, the unstructured data. He's supposed to be processing that data instantaneously and making a big decision whether to put you in a hell or a heaven. So from Indian perspective, we have been using this big data for quite some time, and even our gods are using this data, so we should be able to use the data very, very good effectively. So that's on just a lighter note, so that you will remember this whenever you are looking at a big data. So this is an introduction of the big data. So whenever you speak about big data, you're talking about volume, velocity, variety, and veracity. So just remember there are 4 V's of any big data. Talking about the volumes, it's coming over gigabytes and terabytes of data. So if you are a data scientist, you are supposed to be handling so much volume of the data, and sheer volume increases its complexity. And it's coming at a high velocity also. So it's bombarding on you. It's coming in a variety also. So it's structured and unstructured. It's not like a typical SQL table that is getting filled by rows, so that it's easy for you to whatever prepare invoices or summarize the data or whatever the projects that you might have done in the SQL server. And it's also coming as veracity. So there is something about certain about the data, something about uncertain data, and there could be a sarcastic data. So for the big data, you should always remember these 4 V's in mind. And these 4 V's are actually a challenge for you to manage, process, understand, and prepare something which is the big data. So in big data, all the time, less is more. So your data is coming in a big volume, but the output that you are going to deliver is a decision. It's a very important decision. So here the decision would not be very huge. It might have large impact, but in big data, always remember less is more as compared to output. So you're getting a huge data, but you're producing an output which is on the similar line. So there is saying that in God we trust, everyone else needs data. So here we the data has to be trusted. Okay, just remember, just imagine the COVID data that we are getting. If you don't trust that data, we may not sit at home. If you don't believe on that data. So in God we trust, because we are supposed to trust the God. That's everyone else needs data. And God knows it all, and everyone else needs analytics. So therefore, all of us are now needing analytics in all aspects of our life. And obviously the data science, that's the reason the data science is picking up. So what is the market size? Like once we understand what is big data and what are we supposed to do. So essentially the data is going to come to us with the various big volumes. We are expected to process and come up with some decisions and some insights which would be useful for the organization which we are working. So what is the market size of the data? Like if you look at the worldwide spending on the data and analytics, it is increasing. It is increasing, and you can just see that it is a big numbers, and the numbers are increasing and increasing. So for us, instead of understanding whatever 104 billion means, we have to just understand that the size of the market is increasing. So therefore, there would be a scope for us to work on it. So although the size of market is increasing, does it has any impact on the revenue of an organization? So Gartner, that's one research organization that is a very reputed research organization. they have just done some study, some research on looking at reading the shareholders like annual reports of various companies. Like all the companies has to prepare the quarterly report, annual report about their financial statements, etc., to the financial statements to SEBI or to the government, and they write, maybe it's a big report. So what they have realized is how many times the word analytics, data and analytics is appearing in that report. So they just did a find in the word documents kind of stuff. So how many times the word analytics is coming? So in between 2014 and 2018, it's a large increase how the word analytics is appearing in their annual reports. So that means the companies are using data and analytics for their decisions. And what is its impact on the revenues? So when they say that how many times data and analytics is mentioned in their annual report and how much is the revenue increase. So obviously the analysis, if you look at these data, so there is some data processed by somebody and given to you on a plate, and for you to analyze and for you to take a decision. So here they are saying that it's a high correlation that your revenues would increase if you are using data and analytics as part of your decision making process. So that's one reason why. So the market size is increasing and the data and analytics is contributing to the revenue increase of the organization. Therefore, all the CEOs or CFOs would go for it. So if you look at the data analytics, there are various phases. One is the descriptive analysis. So it's actually your bar chart, histograms, maybe your school or college level statistics. So where you find out what has happened. COVID example, you are seeing the graph, like how many patients have increased over the period of time, and you see that the line is growing up, and the everybody's saying it's an exponential growth and we have to flatten the curve, etc., etc. So this is what descriptive about what has happened. And diagnostic, then comes the diagnostic part of it. Why did it happen? Okay, so is it possible as a data scientist to find out why did it happen? And predictive, what will happen tomorrow? What will happen tomorrow, so that we have to take action. And you can see that everything, there is some analysis, there is some decision happening, and then there is action to be taken, whatever the action may be. So in descriptive statistics, yes, you understand your bar chart, pie chart, etc. Then your human mind processes something and then take decision, and that decision is converted to the action. In diagnostic, little bit human inputs have reduced. However, there is significant amount of human, so there is some more insight that the data scientist is generating. The human input has reduced, and then obviously again the decision is taken and action happens. In predictive, yes, you are again giving more, reducing your human inputs in, and you are predicting this is going to happen, so do this. So it's easy for human to take decision, and the decision would lead to action. And in prescriptive is what should I do? Like what should I do? Like doctor prescribes you a medicine. So it's here based on your symptoms, the doctor prescribe you medicines. So therefore, similarly, here the data scientist should be able to prescribe solution to the problem, and which would be the decision support. And here the human intervention is slightly like less, and then the decision happens and actions happens. And when the decisions are getting automated, a decision is already taken for you and some action has been taken. And the latest in analytics is augmented analytics, automatic machine learning, advanced AI. It is taking data, processing data, modeling data, taking decision, taking action also, so you don't have to do anything in the human inputs. So that's where somewhere we are here. So you have to decide which level of the analysis that the organization requires, so that there is some decision happening and the action is happening. So you have to remember that you have it's greater complexity gives a greater stability. So if you have a very simple data, okay, your decision may not be that accurate. You will not trust that. Okay, imagine an aircraft which is very, very simple looking. Would you climb that aircraft? The engine, aircraft engine, looks so many controls and so many things, so it is handling the complex machinery, so therefore it is giving greater stability, greater reliability, and therefore greater chance of correct predictions. So as a data scientist or data engineers, you should always think about more complexity of the data would give more stability to the results or to the decisions, and then obviously the actions, the probability of the action that you are taking or the decision is correct is much higher. So these are the four aspects of data analytics. You will need everything here. You have to start with descriptive, what is happening. You have to go a little bit diagnostic. Then you should be able to predict. Then you should be able to prescribe, and then it should be automated decisions like connected cars or driverless cars. So where the car is taking decision which way to take or whether to press a brake or accelerator. So that's what is here taking action automatically here. So these are the four aspects or four levels of analytics, and you have to start level 1, and everything has level 1, 2, 3, 4. Nothing can jump directly to level 4. Unless you understand the data, you cannot go further. So in the data understanding, obviously it is different types of data sets going into your servers here. You are analyzing and then you are producing the result. So all the time you will go as a data scientist, you will first get data, you will analyze the data like in all our, even we have some input, we have process, and we prepare output for all our computer programs. So right now today, I just want you to go reverse, because we are trying to understand the data. So I'm going to show you the visualization of the data. And from that visualization of the data, I would like to find out what would be the data sources, because as a data scientist, you have to first understand the data. So this is an interactive session, so I want you to answer. So obviously, I'm taking the data from COVID again. So I have taken some snapshot on 12th April. There were 7,300 cases. Now, unfortunately, they have gone to 12,000. So that's a sad picture. However, now I have just taken a picture from the Government of India site. And so this is my total things, and these are my state-wise details. So for each of these things, now we have to go reverse. As a data scientist, if I'm supposed to understand the data, if I'm supposed to produce the data, I have to ensure that the data is of good quality and the data is authentic. I need to understand the data source, how I am going to get the data. So what would be the source of the data here? Can anybody answer? How will I be for producing this table? This is just a table which everybody understands. What would be the data source? Can you just imagine, like the health ministry in Delhi, they are producing this. So to get this data together, imagine the machinery that they need to have. Okay, from every state. So data source would be coming from every state government or every state health department. Data is owner is obviously the Government of India. Size of the data, yes, it is increasing all the time. How the data is collected, because is it true data? So you might have listened to some things that this is some numbers are fake numbers, some other things are not correct, and all those things. So as a data scientist, if you are in that position now, you are sitting in the health ministry of Delhi, and you are trying to put this together, and you have to own this data. As a data scientist, you have to own the data. and you have to ensure that your systems and your servers, everything are able to process the data. Then how the data is collected, you have to set up the mechanism to get that data. What would be the missing data, what is the issue of the data, what kind of data that you are going to process, what kind of data you're going to get. So you have to have the complete supply chain of the data in mind, so that you are able to come up with the tables like this, with the results like this, so that you are able to predict what is going to happen tomorrow, so that you can take some action or prepare for tomorrow. Okay, how the processing is done, how authentic is the data. If the data is incorrect, all your action and the planning based on the data would be incorrect. What predictions can be made? So obviously here we want to know how many patients would be increasing and how we are going to handle those patients. What kind of hotspots, how do we seal the hotspots? So all those decisions are taken here, and those decisions are implemented by the state governments or police or whoever it is, but the decisions are taken here. Decisions are taken based on the data, therefore data quality is important. So here you have to visualize how the data is as a day, because we are not consume, we are preparation, we are data scientists or data engineers who are responsible for the data quality and producing this data, so that some other teams can take actions. Okay, so this is how you should understand the data, because every time it is not a very, right now if we say this is a simple data, but it is not necessary a simple data. Right now I'm just producing how many patients, then there are so many characteristics of the patient, the locations, the all those things, and based on that they are supposed to take some decisions. Okay, and this is a big decisions, like making a lockdown is a big decision, is taken based on some data, because without the data any of these decisions would not have been taken, or you are not confident to take that decision. If you have a data supporting, then you are able to take that decision and you have to implement that decision. So data gives you power to take the decision, and you will be the data scientist community who is going to give power to the decision makers. So obviously you will have a chaos of data. Okay, so there is it won't be easy. So it would be like a chaos of the data, and you should be able to prepare, use your processes and tools so that you converge that data. And while you are converging the data, you should be able to have, it should be like a rocket. It should go up and down very very quickly, because you have to take data from grassroots and supply to the strategic decisions, and from that strategic decision find out again whether your decision is correct. So the data scientist should be able to provide a dashboards or the visualizations of the model really quick, and it is giving you different types of views. Okay, 30,000 views, like maybe the center our prime minister's office, that need 30,000 views, 10,000 views our chief minister office needs, and maybe the grassroots level view is or police or the municipality who are working on it. So that kind of views it should be able to, and all these three views has to be seamlessly connected, and it should be up and down all the front, because the grassroots level data is impacting what is your 30 level views, and whatever the strategic decisions taken at that level is impacting your grassroots level data. So here from all this chaos you are should be able to converge to some decision. So you have a strategic you have strategic decisions over here, then you have managerial decisions, and you have operational actions. So unless so any data science project, you think about any data science project, whether it is in a finance, pharma, government, anywhere, it should be like this. There should be some decisions coming out of the data. There would be some high level decisions, some middle level decisions, and some actual actions that are to be taken. you should remember that data is perishable. Like, it's sometimes yesterday's data is not that useful as the live data. Everybody is talking about real-time data. Okay, so data is perishable, so it has to be quickly used. Okay, it's like, you just imagine data is like ice cream, like you have to quickly eat and enjoy, otherwise it will go away. So data is perishable, so but it is at the same time it is a very valuable thing right now, because everything, all the decisions are based on that. It should be consumed, the data should be used. If it not used, it becomes stale data, and it is not of any use, and it's a waste of money. Data should be true, because all your decisions based on, maybe it's a garbage in garbage out. So if you are taking a decision based on incorrect data, your decision or for the future, your prediction for the future, most likely coming incorrect. And if you're taking incorrect decision, you are taking incorrect path, you will not reach your destination. Data quality is at most important. You have to ensure that the data coming into your system is of good quality, so your decisions are good. And data outliers sometimes more important, because data outliers are sometimes, sorry, data outliers are sometimes important, and it gives you have to focus on your data outliers. Right now, outlier, you think about the hotspot for the COVID, these are the outliers, and they are to be treated something different. So those hotspot has to come from your data. Okay, and it definitely gives actions. So what are the skills that are required? Like, there are technical skills, obviously you need technical skills, your mathematical skills, and you need a statistical skills. And apart from that, you need eye of detailing. This is very important from the data scientist perspective. You should be able to tell, you should be able to build story around the data, so that it is kind of a decision is taken. You should be able to look at the pattern, you should find out correlations and causations. So let me see if you have eye for detailing. What's the error in this report? Can you tell me what is the error in this report? Yes, please, any answer?
Well, we are still waiting, Anjali. No answers yet.
If there is no error, then if you don't find any error, tell me that there is no error. As a data,
Couple
there
of,
is not. Yeah,
I'm
go
sorry
ahead.
to interrupt. Couple of users have answered as deaths. Number of deaths is
Mm-hmm.
not matching. Deaths have
Correct.
different figures.
Yeah, precisely. Okay, so this is a very common error, and good, congratulations, you have pointed out that. So here you see that these are the numbers here, 7397, but somewhere this total is not matching here. Okay, and this is real snapshot I have taken, but there are reasons for not matching. But as a data scientist, you should always ensure that your numbers are matching. Okay, so something here, like maybe this has taken a couple of hours back, and this is the latest data. There could be so many reasons for not matching the numbers, but if your numbers are not matching, it would it would tell you that there is some issue with the data, and then I stop trusting your data. So as a data scientist, keep an eye on detailing. If there is any discrepancy happening, because this would be your first job or first project where you are producing this very simple dashboard. Okay, you can produce it in the Excel sheet also. But here, if the numbers are not matching, you should either know the reason for the numbers which are not matching, or you have to ensure that the numbers are matched. So essentially, you should have an eye for detailing. As a data scientist, this is a very, very important characteristics that you should possess. And it doesn't come from your anything. It has to, you have to build this on your own. Then you should look at the patterns, like building such graphs are quite simple nowadays, so you can build such graphs. But at the same time, you need to understand how these colors are, how the people are going to interpret the data, what is the data source, is the data correct. Every time you have to ask a question, is the data correct, is the data correct, then only you would be able to make a good career as a data scientist. So you should have eye for detailing. So good, congratulations those who have pointed out this. So ensure and remember this, and all your dashboards going forward in your career should be following this. So here we talked about the first 4 things, and now I'm just going to give you a slight glimpse of a future, what is the augmented analytics, and what is going to happen. I will make it very fast here. So augmented analytics is essentially it's a marriage of machine learning and natural language processing. So it's all, everything is combined together. So before you know, the decision is taken for you. Okay, so example, like procurement or smart refrigerator or something, if something is finished in your fridge, the fridge would send it to the superstore and superstore would deliver it and everything would be finished. So something like that, very automated way. And not only it is about the natural language processing also. So the machine would start understanding your feelings, understanding the way you are expressing yourselves, and it is going ahead. So I'm not spending much time on this because we hardly have 5 minutes. Maybe we'll have some question and answers. So I'm just showing you few real life examples where we have done the analytics, like server log analytics. So right now we are attending this meeting, so around 800-900 people are there in the call. So this so the server is like, GoToMeeting server is kind of collecting all the data, who had joined what time, what is the is he has some experience, bad experience, is he able to hear it, what is the network parameters, what is latency, what is the jitter, how many packets are flowing between 2 and 4, so that we are able to have this meeting properly. So this kind of analysis, this is done, and from across the globe, what kind of network performance is there. So this is what we could analyze and visualize based on that, and then we are able to focus on a particular location across the globe, which is creating problems for the server performance, and we are able to find out that location and kind of take some action so that to prevent any further call issues later. So this is a server log analytics on some of the meeting application that we have. So then there are some mathematical models. This decision tree is one of the machine learning models, so I'll not go into detail, but this would determine what should be your network parameters so that your call will go good. So this is you can think about it as a machine learning model. Then obviously we want to predict how it is the, so this is one of the time series model. So time series also is one of the machine learning model where we are able to predict what is going to happen in future. So based on the data till March, we are going to predict what is going to happen till May. How much work is going to come, or how much sale is going to happen, and so there would be a time series ARIMA model which helps you to take out all the variations and trying to predict. So these are the mathematical model which will help you to predict what is going to happen in future. So these are some examples of the machine learning models which I have prepared and we have used. Then obviously we want to know anomaly detection, like which ticket, which location, which volume is taking more time, or which particular has an issue. If you have a journey, like if you have a ticket journey, like see everybody is now support tickets. If something is not working, we are supposed to raise a ticket to the organization, and then that ticket would be resolved, or your problem would be solved, or a service request that you raise even to the bank for your checkbook or whatever it is. So it goes into different phases, and we are supposed to ultimately we have to supposed to deliver within the time, and if we are not delivering the time, we lose our SLAs. So which particular tickets are essentially creating a problem? So this is the kind of anomaly detection for support tickets. These are few examples that I have taken. This is again about the text analytics, so it's unstructured data. So looking at the comments from the customer, what we can make sense out of it, and what kind of action that we supposed to trigger. Data literacy, essentially now everybody cannot become data scientist, but all of us are supposed to be consuming the data. And if not data scientist, we should be able to be a citizen data scientist. So the citizen data scientist is a new terminology that is used so for the people who are going to consume the data. So they have to be data literate. So if you are literate, you are not necessarily the data literate. So there are programs running so that you become a data literate. So coming to the end of the seminar, obviously there are many challenges as you go, as you really start working on the data. There is too much data, you get overwhelmed with the data. It's difficult to, it's not an easy job to understand the data, to model the data, and to arrive at a complete decision. So therefore there is a process is must. So there is a process defined. You are supposed to follow that process so that your decisions are correct, and the way you are doing the data science project would be correct. So once you go more into detail, we can explain you this process properly so that you can run a successful data science projects. As far as careers in data science is concerned, like obviously you have to have domain understanding, you have to have IT skills, so all your programming, databases, data storage, infrastructure would come here, data science would come here, which is your analysis, analytics, mathematics. So all those, so there are three aspects. One is about domain, because here every domain is comes under the data analytics, whether it is financial things, your stocks, or your banks, or your pharmaceuticals, clinical trials. Everything is about your domain, and everything, even IoT devices, everything brings data into data science category. And then you need processes, tools, infrastructure, databases, programming languages for this, so that you can process the data and come to a conclusion. So typically you will see in organization, you will have a junior data scientist, senior data scientist, data engineer, domain expert, software engineer, machine learning engineer, and maybe business intelligence professional, and what kind of skills that you need. Okay, mathematical skills, IT skills, business skills, soft skills, and then what are you supposed to do and what should be your levels. So if you join as an organization fresh from your college, you should be a junior data scientist, and you should be able to have, you should be have more mathematical skills. And senior data scientist, again your mathematical skills and IT skills becomes more important. And then as you grow, your domain skills becomes important, and all other skills becomes important. So this is your path, career path of a data scientist. So you have to decide where you want to be. Depending on that, you have to improve some of these skills and enhance all these skills so that you can fit into the job. So in the last, I had to rush because we are running out of the time. So any questions? I can take some questions.
So yeah, Anjali, thanks a lot for this amazing session, and with the real life examples, and especially the examples you gave on COVID-19. I believe this session was very interactive, and each one of the participants would have gained more knowledge about data science. I would request here to all the participants to ask the questions if you have any, and we can take them one by one. Okay, we have a lot of questions coming up. Anjali, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be reading out the questions. So the first question is, as a Java API programmer, what is the best option to pick to move into as a data analyst or as a data scientist?
As if you are a good at Java, you should be able to pick up very quickly R or Python. Okay, those are the programming languages. So you should be like data engineer and data scientist, maybe junior data scientist, which has a lot of IT skills. So that, and you also have to upgrade your mathematical skills so that you can apply a proper model. Okay.
All right. We have our next question uh, from Kranti. He's asking, "Hi, I'm a TIBCO administrator. Am I suitable for a data science job?"
Can you repeat?
The question is, "Hi, I am a TIBCO administrator, and am I suitable for this data science job?"
Tempo administrator. What is
TIBCO.
Tempo? TIPCO.
Uh, yeah.
Okay. TIPCO. Okay. Then you should go for a data engineer kind of job where you are able to manage the data. Okay, then you don't need that much programming skills, but here like kind of managing the data lake, what we call it, the infrastructure side, the access side, the infrastructure side. So you can think about more about data engineer. Okay, where you are managing the data, you are ensuring that the data quality, data security is maintained.
Okay. All right. So there are a couple of questions coming up more again in terms of the job roles. Uh, One of them is, if I'm already a Python developer, how can I switch to data scientist and where do I start?
If you already know Python, maybe start learning more about Python packages, and understanding about statistics would be very helpful here, because you know Python, so you can get the data into Python, but which model to apply, which model suits your data, that would be that decision or that interpretation, and how do you interpret the model, that would come from your statistical knowledge.
All right. We have a lot of questions coming up. I don't think with the time constraint we have, we will be able to answer all of those. Let's take few more and wrap it up quickly, Anjali.
Sure.
All right, we have a question from Chandan Jha. He's asking us, I'm a reporting analyst and I'm using Power BI and SQL. How can I transform myself into data scientist?
Okay, Power BI is a data visualization tool. So you can do more of a, if you look at those levels of data science, so more of a descriptive and somewhat diagnostic analysis in Power BI. If you want to go data scientist behind, you have to go to Microsoft ML Studio, where you can do some modeling, and that modeling would be shown into your Power BI. So if you're already using Power BI and you are analyst and you already understands the data, so that now you think about learning more about machine learning models. And since you are using Power BI, Microsoft Azure Machine Learning Studio would be a natural, the next level that you should learn.
Okay, let's take one last one, and this one is from Mukesh Patel. He's asking, I am an employee referral manager. Which role will be suitable for me in data science?
Employee referral manager.
Yes.
So something related to HR, right? HR is using, all HR teams are using a lot of analysis on the HR data that they have. So essentially trying to predict what kind of positions or the demands that they would be having, what would be the exit ratio, who is probably going to exit, what would be the attrition ratio, how we are going to manage your attrition, and what kind of there are a lot of exit interview analysis happening, so that what kind of improvement that you can bring in your processes. So HR also using a lot of analytics right now, so that to maintain the staff. So we have one last question about the poll, which you want to start that? Hello.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I missed the voice. I was saying, Anjali, that is already scheduled at the end of webinar, and that will be received by all the participants.
Okay.
And for all the participants, I would like to inform you that this webinar session is an ongoing activity, as I said earlier. To get notified for all the upcoming sessions, you can see on the screen, these are the webinars lined up for next 2 weeks. You can see the registration link at the end of this screen, or you can simply send us a hi message on WhatsApp on the mentioned number on your screen, and you will keep on getting regular notifications from us for the free webinars and other knowledge sharing activities as well. Lastly, Anjali, I would like to thank you once again for this session, and I would like to thank all of the participants who joined today us for this webinar, and I will look forward to connect with you again.
Thank you, Vishal, for giving me opportunity, and thank you all participants for hearing me. I hope you find this program useful.
Thanks a lot, Anjali. I will be signing off. Stay safe, stay at home, and get upskilled. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you. Stay safe. Bye-bye.